It's the Tanya Barnett Show. 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 It's the Tanya. When we talk about real things, talk about life things. The 21st century woman gotta get right. Entrepreneurship, motherhood, marriage, divorce, dating, healthy living, and thriving, of course. It's the Tanya Barnett Show. It's the Tanya Barnett Show.
Hey there, this is Tanya Barnett, the host of the Tanya Barnett Show, where we discuss the unique challenges of the 21st century women. So buckle up and get ready, sister, to get your life right.
It's the Tanya Barnett Show. It's the Tanya Barnett Show. It's the Tanya Barnett Show. It's the Tanya.
The host of the Tanya Barnett Show, the flyest talk show on the internet. And I'm so super excited about tonight's guest. We are going to be talking about STEM. And my guest tonight, she is STEM on steroids, okay? She is a bad mama jamma. You do not want to miss her. She leads a prestigious organization that we're going to be talking about in a little bit. And we're going to be talking about the new faces of STEM. So I'm so super excited about her tonight. But I want to give a mad shout out to Mahogany Books. I am right now their community consultant. So I'm really excited that I'm able to go out into schools, into the community to let them know about Mahogany Books. It is the first bookstore in Anacostia in 25 years. So mad shout out to Ramunda and Derek Young. I'm so super excited to be able to partner with you all to bring education to not only our children, but to adults as well. So mad shout out to you all. They are having Marshawn Evans there this week for a book signing. And they're also going to have Beverly Bond, the one who started Black Girls Rock. She's going to be there on Thursday. So if you're able to come to the Anacostia Arts Center on Thursday evening, Beverly Bond will be there. If you want your book signed, you got to buy it there, okay? So just letting y'all know ahead of time. Come with some cash if you want Beverly Bond to sign your book. And make sure you holler at me. I will be working that event. So I'm super excited. Mad props again to Ramunda and Derek Young over at Mahogany Books. And right after this quick break, we're going to come back with She's Gotta Have It, where I share my favorite Black business with you. Don't go anywhere here on the Tanya Barnett Show.
Listen vision. DC's #1 recording studio. Listen vision.
Hey everybody, this is Tanya Barnett, your host of the Tanya Barnett Show. We are back and we are live, all the way live. So I want to share my She's Gotta Have It tonight. I ran into these young ladies at Morgan State University. Saturday, I was at their Women's Empowerment Conference that they had. I actually was on a panel with mom bosses, so mom entrepreneurs who are killing it in the game. I was able to be on a panel there. And so the Black business I want to share with you is none other than Black Girls Vote. So that's the shirt that I have on. And what they're doing is they're promoting teenage girls from the ages of 17 to 18 and getting them registered to vote. And then also making sure that they get to the polls at election season. So if you don't know, here in Maryland, well, I'm in DC, but in Maryland, early voting starts June 14th through June 21st. You have to from 8 in the morning to 8 p.m. So make sure you get out there and vote. I don't want nobody telling me the lines were long on election day. You have 2 weeks to do early voting from 8 to 8. So make sure you find out where those early voting places are. They're not your regular polling spots. So you can actually go on the Maryland Board of Elections, and that's anybody. If you're watching and you're in Texas, California, Georgia, you guys have an opportunity in Georgia to get ready to elect the first African-American governor ever in the state of Georgia. In Texas, they're about to elect 2 female Latina senators, first ever in the history of the U.S. Senate. And then also in my county, I'm running for Register of Wills in Charles County. I'll be the first African-American to hold that position in 360 years of the history of the county. So women, we are doing it big. Women of color, we're doing it big. But we cannot do it unless you are registered to vote. And in the state of Maryland, I'm just letting y'all know this, so let your cousins know, Ray and them, if they've done their time and they're out, since 2016, they can vote. So any convicted felon who has done their time, they can vote. So do not let anybody tell you that you cannot vote if you've been to jail. That is not true in the state of Maryland as of May 2016. So let people know, check in your different cities, your states. Find out if you can vote, because a lot of states have reenacted where people, if you've done your time, you can vote. So I want to make sure that is very clear that you register. If you're 17 years old and you turn 18 the day before elections, you can go vote. But in the state of Maryland, you have to be registered by June 5th, all right? So that's my soapbox. The Black Business for She's Gotta Have It from me is none other than Black Girls Vote. And I'm going to bring on my special guest tonight, none other than Dr. PhD Dr. K. Renee Horton. Hey, lady.
Hey, hon, how are you tonight?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm so super excited to have you with me tonight. How are you?
I'm doing good. A little tired from the New York trip, but good.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So you had a She's Gotta Have It that you wanted to share. So did you want to share what that Black business was?
I did. I wanted to share the community bookstore in New Orleans. They are an amazing bookstore that we have, Black-owned, but they're really, really not struggling, but just staying there and surviving, even with today's time. And you can go in and get all type of books. I'm really honored that they actually have the Dr. H Explores the Universe there as well. They were the first bookstore to have it.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Well, I'm so super excited as well. I'm sorry. You okay? All right, so you're good. And so I was just talking about a Black bookstore here in the DC area, Mahogany Books. We have to make sure that hey, baby, this is what happens on Tanya Barnett Show. We are working moms, working grandmas, working women, wives, and sometimes kids pop up on screen, and it is okay. Okay, we keep it moving. All right, that's historically. We used to pop out babies while we were picking cotton, pick them up, wipe them off, and put them on our back and keep it moving. So, welcome, welcome, welcome. We're gonna take a really, really quick break, and we're gonna come back and talk to you about what you do and what makes you such a unique woman here on the Tanya Barnett Show. Don't go anywhere. Hey everybody, this is Tanya Barnett, your host of the Tanya Barnett Show, where we talk about the unique challenges of the 21st century woman, especially the African American woman, but we also offer solutions. And so my special guest tonight is none other than Dr. Renee Horton. Welcome back.
I'm so glad to be here.
I am so excited to have you. I'm honored to have you. And I just want to thank you so much for saying yes to being on my show tonight.
You can hear him. He's honored, too, to be on your show. But, it's actually an honor for me because, when we're getting out and we're building these networks, it's so nice to have Black women supporting Black women.
Awesome.
So
awesome.
Thank you for wanting me here.
Oh, and and that's the whole purpose behind this, because what I realize in society is that the narrative is that black women can't get along, that we can't work together, things of that nature. And so that's one of the myths that I want to dispel here on my show. So that's why every single week I have nothing but black females as my guests. I'm unapologetic about that. I've had men reach out to me, people of other races reach out to me, but I'm really clear on who I want to feature and spotlight on my show. So again, thank you so much. So for people who don't know about you, and I know a lot of people, I realize we got a lot of people in common. Can you tell my audience a little bit about yourself?
I am actually the first African American to receive my degree from the University of Alabama in material science with a physics concentration, my PhD. Um, I am unapologetic about who I am and what I'm doing in life and what I believe in. Um, I consider myself a change agent because I believe that the impact that we make on this earth, we should be willing to be able to make a change and be grateful that we have these skills that we can actually give back to the community to be able to make a change. Now, that's who I am, my philosophy of who I am, right? So in my everyday life, I'm a grandma and a mother. So those are very important to me and come first. And then I am an engineer for NASA.
That is awesome. I remember my brother, when we were very young, we live here in the Maryland, D.C. area, so NASA is right there in Greenbelt, Maryland. And we used to drive past it all the time. And my brother would always say he wanted to work there. So he actually was an intern there in high school. He had an opportunity to go and intern at NASA. So can you tell people a little bit about what you do at NASA?
I do. So we are currently building the Space Launch System, which we call SLS, and it's the largest rocket in the world, and it's the most powerful one in the world. And here in New Orleans is where we actually have our assembly facility. And so a lot of people don't know that we're actually assembling a very big rocket, powerful rocket here in New Orleans. So currently I oversee making sure that our requirements are actually met. And when they can't meet the requirements for building the rocket, I make sure that whatever alterations we have or changes that we have in those requirements, that we're still good and that we'll be able to meet the life of the rocket.
Now, let me ask you this, because a lot of times, we hear about black girls don't do science. We're really good in reading and things of that nature. What made you choose to basically become a rocket scientist? I mean, what made you choose that
out of... rocket scientist fell into my lap, but I've always wanted to be an astronaut since I was 9.
Wow.
And I've always been interested in science and math, very strong reader, but I was horrible at writing. So I stink at English. Somebody always has to correct everything that I write. But I had a true love and a true passion for science, and I was very inquisitive and wanted to know if the blade of grass was green, why? And how did it get that way? And what made it grow? And my dad bought me a telescope when I was 9, and I fell in love with the stars and the universe. And I really wanted to know what else was out there. So I focused on becoming an astronaut, and then at 17 I found out that I was hearing impaired and couldn't be an astronaut.
Oh, wow, that is amazing. I had no idea. Wow. Okay. Yeah. So you were like, okay, the next best thing, I'm gonna build rockets.
No, I wish I could say was that focused. I was like, like what just happened to my life?
Right.
Like my dream just went down the drain, and what do I do? And and I felt rejected, and I felt like, okay, I'm not good enough for this. And ended up becoming a mother, then getting married, followed my husband's career, and then that marriage ended. And then when my daughter was born, I was kind of looking at her like, like I need to change the world for her.
Right.
Like it wasn't for me, it was for her.
Okay.
But I went back and got my undergraduate with 3 kids, and then went on to get my PhD with the 3 kids. And NASA surfaced again because my fellowships were all from NASA.
Okay.
So that dream came back. It was like instant too. It was like, that's where I want to be. That's what I want to do. And it wasn't until then, later in life, that I accepted I may not be able to be an astronaut, but I can send astronauts to space.
Wow, that is amazing. And I just have to be brutally honest. That's something you usually hear from men. You don't hear these type of stories from women. And so I'm inspired. That is fantastic. And I love how you didn't let your dream go. You had some detours, but you circled back around and you did that, as a mom, with 3 children. And so you are to be commended for that. That is fantastic because a lot of people will let, something like that knock them out and then they make excuses as to why they can't, achieve their dreams or their goals in life. So you are to be commended for that. My
Well,
hat is
thank you,
off
ma'am.
to you. So we're going to take a really, really quick break, and we'll be right back with Dr. Renee here on the Tanya Barnett Show. Don't go anywhere.
Listen, vision. Listen, vision.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Tanya Barnett Show, your host of the flyest talk show on the internet, where we talk about the unique challenges of the 21st century African-American woman, but we also offer solutions. And so my special guest tonight is none other than Dr. K. Renee Horton. Welcome back.
Hi.
So let me ask you something. The engineer showed a picture of you speaking at the National Society of Black Physicists, and you are the president of that organization. I'm sorry, you are a bad mama jamma. I need to
I'm
sit
going to
down
be
somewhere.
president for about 2 more days.
Oh.
All
All right, so we're going to talk about it because you're president right now. So
Yeah.
how did that come about? How did you become the president of the National Society of Black Physicists?
So I had walked away from the organization probably around 2011 and was doing some other stuff. And they called me up 2 years ago and said, we need you to run for president. And I said, nah, I'm not doing that. Like, I got this other stuff going, right? I got this book coming out and we got all this other stuff. And I was like, I can't do all of that. I just want to be in my greatness with NASA right now. And that's it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so they kept saying, we need a public face. We need somebody with your kind of fire to help us rebuild the organization. And I finally said, okay. And then I ran and won. And so we were all a little bit shocked because I ran against one of our black males who's like very popular.
Wow.
He had a TV show at the time. He's got a YouTube channel, just all of that stuff. And so I really didn't expect to beat him and actually won by a landslide.
Wow.
And next thing I know, I was president.
Wow.
And
That
so my
is
last 2 years have been rebuilding the organization
okay.
and putting it back on its feet and rebuilding relationships. And I think you guys saw the picture of me speaking, but it was just like a total honor because the older gentleman that actually ran the organization before actually commended us, my current board, on what we were doing and how well we had restored the organization. And they actually deemed this particular term the rebirth of the organization.
Wow. That is amazing. So let's talk a little bit about you being tasked with now being the president, or running rather. Did you experience any fear in that?
It was the fear of the unknown, not really knowing. Like, I knew how bad our organization was at the moment, but I wasn't really sure how people would receive me or how they would actually receive a woman being in charge. We had not had a woman in charge in more than 33 years.
Wow.
So the last female that was in charge was 33 years ago.
Wow. Wow. That is amazing. And so then you were tasked with rebuilding the society. So what did that look like for you? I know, to come into an organization that has history, and here you are, and I'm sure were you maybe one of the youngest people as well?
Yes. So being a non-traditional student really helps, but young in my career, I am just like almost 6 years removed from getting my PhD. So that was very different. There were a lot of people who were skeptical about my abilities and what I would be able to do. A lot of people were like, well, you need more than just a pretty face to be able to run an organization. So it
Wow.
was a true learning experience for me, though.
Hmm.
Being able to lead a group of people, being able to learn personalities, being able to truly understand what makes everybody tick.
Right, right. So you just said that, you didn't want to be just another pretty face. So we're going to talk about that. So the topic tonight is the new face of STEM. And so why did you come up with that topic, saying the new face of STEM? What do you see the new face of STEM looking like?
So for me, growing up, the face of STEM was white male. And so when we talk about the new face of STEM, we're talking about the the Asians, the blacks, the Hispanics. That's when I say the new face of STEM, because our country is not going to be predominantly white anymore.
Right,
And so, being that we're going to change the dynamics of what the country looks like, then our careers, our goals, and aspirations also change. And
right.
so, when we start saying the new face of STEM, or that we want to change the face of STEM, that's what we're talking about. So, when people see me, I'm now synonymous with STEM, not just a white man walking around in a lab coat.
I love it. I love it. And I know that I think it was Essence Magazine had an article that featured 15 women in STEM. And so I thought that was fantastic to see young
And
black
three of
women.
those women are in my organization.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So, I mean, really, these are the type of people that our daughters need to see. We need to see more women like you and your colleagues. And it's so funny because my youngest daughter is a senior in high school, and we're getting her ready for college, and she loves math. And so that's what I'm trying to do now, is really trying to get her focused on scholarships in STEM. So can you share what it's like for African American girls to go into the STEM field? And is it competitive, or is it still something where there's not a lot of them?
It's not a lot of them, and but it is still competitive to get there.
Okay.
There are a lot of scholarships, though, for them, simply just set up for that. There are a lot of mentoring programs to help them understand what it's going to be like and what they need to do to be able to survive and get through that as well.
Mm-hmm.
I would never, ever, ever say it's out without their reach, because it's there for them. And I've been often saying, I heard them say, if you don't have a chair, bring it to the table. But the reason we're here, even my new organization that we started last year, is so that we can continue kicking in doors. We're not opening them anymore, we're kicking them in. So for people like your daughter who want to be in STEM, they have the right to be there, and they have the right to thrive, not just survive, but actually thrive.
Awesome, awesome. So I need to get the name of your organization when we get off this interview, because I really need to get her dialed in and plugged in with women that look like her. Because at school, her science teachers are white, every single one of them. White male, white female, and she takes AP, one of those AP sciences. I don't know which one it is, and her teacher told them straight up day one, this is a hard class, and no one gets an A in my class. And so she came home on the first day of school defeated, like, yo, this lady already told us that nobody gets an A in her class. So here you have teachers already telling students, you're not going to do good in my class.
But you know what? That should have been a teaching moment, because that becomes, just because ain't nobody else did it before, baby, don't mean that you won't be the one to do it this time. And
Right.
the teacher did it as a whole, so she shouldn't even be signaled out. We have to learn to tell our kids that there are a lot of people who will want to stop them, and who do want to keep them dejected and keep them somewhere else, right? But when
Hmm.
those moments happen, they have to learn to take those as teaching moments and build off of them, and use that, I always say, to tend their fire, but to
Hmm.
feed their own fire for what it is, for their passion and what it is they actually want.
Right. That is great advice. That's great advice. I wish I knew that back, in September when she started school. But we're working on it now, and we're getting her straight. So
Right.
Dr. Renee, we're gonna come back after this really quick break with a few more questions for you. So don't go anywhere here on the Tanya Barnett Show. We'll be right back.
Listen vision, listen vision. DC's #1 recording studio.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Tanya Barnett Show, the flyest talk show on the internet, where we talk about the unique challenges of the 21st century woman, but we also offer solutions. And so my special guest tonight, she is not only offering solutions, y'all, she's helping get people on the moon and space centers and all different types of things. So welcome back, Dr. Renee. How are you?
I'm good as always.
Awesome. So we're going to shift gears a little bit. We're going to get a little personal here. Question for you. How do you find time for yourself with everything that you're doing? You're traveling. I see you all over the place speaking. You're at schools. You have a book. How do you find time for yourself?
What I've learned is that it doesn't take much sometimes to actually recharge you. I actually sleep on my plane ride, no matter how short or long they are. And sometimes I actually build in just a little extra time. So versus taking a 6:30 flight home, I may not take a flight home until noon or maybe 2 o'clock, and actually just spend that time just kind of relaxing and recharging myself. So that's how I actually focus. You know, I used to try to focus on, oh my God, I need a vacation and I need to get away, or I need to do this and I need to do that. I really found the things that recharge me, and those are the things that I indulge in when I have the time to do it. I'm a water person. So when we moved this time, my apartment is actually right across from a lake. I walk out of my front door and I see a lake. Water is one of those things that I draw to and I draw from. So I knew that. So when I started looking for even this house this time, it was a matter of trying to find those kind of elements, those natural elements that give me back what I actually need.
Wow, that is so. I'm gonna have to do that. When you said instead of like jumping on a 6:30 flight or 7 o'clock flight, staying a little longer, so you can just lay in bed and sleep in or whatever. That is great, because I'm always okay. I gotta hurry up, packing my bag the night before. You know, there's been a time where I went from Atlanta to Miami, then back home, and then to Baltimore to go speak, and it's like trying to catch all those early flights. And then, like you're saying, if you take that time, now you're able to rest a little bit. So I'm going to take that advice to heed for me.
And yeah, there's sometimes that I actually just need that rest. And so there have been times where I just don't do the early flight at all.
Wow, that is great advice. So my next question for you is, you're an author, and so we showed your book a little earlier on the screen. Can you tell us a little bit about your book?
Yes, it is. This particular book is Dr. H Explores the Universe, and it's a part of one of 5 series where a quirky scientist who happens to look identical to me, right, explores the universe and just has an amazing time doing it.
Awesome. And what age group is this book for?
This book is for 4th grade through 7th grade.
Okay, awesome. And where can people get that book?
So you can purchase it directly from drhexplorers.com, or you can go on to Amazon or other online bookstores as well.
Awesome. And why did you choose to write a children's book as opposed to, say, a book for adults?
So my first book that I've actually published, which was self-published, was a book of poetry. And it was a compilation of 10 years of my life. And that, to me, that was like the change at the end of those 10 years. And so that book came out maybe a year before I actually graduated. And it was like, okay, I'm done with that particular hurt part of my life, and I want to heal and move on. So that's what the poetry was actually about. But when I decided to do the children's book, what I realized was our kids don't have that. They got Doc McStuffin and what else?
Wow.
They don't have it. And so for us, when I decided to do this project, it was more or less about giving our kids the imagination and the exploration and the science in a fun way that they could see themselves doing it.
Right. I love it. I think it is fantastic. And when I think about even my own children, I can't think of any books that had black scientists or astronauts or anything like that. You know, if it was anything remotely that wasn't white, it was an animal. You know, I even noticed with like Doc McStuffins on that show, she's dealing with animals. She's not even dealing with real people.
I know, and it's a little frustrating when I look at because my grandson now is a year old, and so when I'm watching cartoons with him, I'm thinking this boy is gonna think animals talk.
Right.
They don't, you know. And I'm just like because all the shows are either weird creatures, but when we grew up, it wasn't like that. We had Fat Albert and other shows where it was actual people.
Right.
So that was the whole thing about the book. Now we did animate the car, and I don't feel bad about animating the car because there are a lot of cars that talk now. So
Right.
this was a little special. This is B-shaped beetle, and he's named after Edward Boucher, the first black physicist, the first black male physicist. So.
Oh, wow. That is amazing. That is amazing. Okay, so Dr. Renee, we're going to take a really, really quick break, and we're going to come back and find out how people can reach out to you if they want you to come and speak at their schools, their conventions, anything they have going on, and how they can, again, purchase your book right here on the Tanya Barnett Show. Don't go anywhere.
Listen vision, listen vision.
Hey everybody, this is Tanya Barnett, your host of the Tanya Barnett Show, the flyest talk show on the internet, where we talk about the unique challenges of the 21st century woman, but we also offer solutions. And so my special guest tonight has been none other than Dr. Renee Horton. She has just really blessed me so much, and I hope she has blessed you too. Dr. Renee, really quick, what piece of advice would you give to a woman who's watching right now who is saying, wow, that sounds great for her, but, you know, I'm a stay-at-home mom. I have, 4 kids. My husband works all the time. How can I find time to follow my dreams or my goals?
It's about sacrifice. And that's the part people don't want to do. It's the sacrifice. Going back to school with 3 kids, I think had to be the hardest thing I ever even imagined trying to do, because it simply became, and I was a single parent. And so it was like, what am I going to have to give up to do that? And we had to give up quite a bit. But the sacrifice that you give up in the beginning just doesn't come anywhere near what the reward is in the end. And so when I look back on it and that sacrifice that I had to do those first 2 years, we moved into an apartment that could fit inside of this apartment that I currently live in. Right?
Wow.
And so we had 2 bedrooms. My daughter's room was so small, it was actually the size of a walk-in closet. And so when I think about that now, we kind of laugh about it because we think about how cozy it was, right? My bed was in the living room, and we had this fold-up table. But then now I'm speaking at the UN and traveling to South Africa to speak. And so when I think of what the rewards are now versus then, following my dreams were worth it. But when you start talking about husbands and wives and following dreams, everybody has to be on board. So it's not just about sitting down and dictating how you want your dream to come true. But when you're dealing with family, even when I was dealing with the kids, every decision I made, I sat down with my children and said, this is what I want. We finished the bachelor's. I said, I'd like to go on to do a PhD, but this is how it affects us. And I got them to buy into it. So another mom sitting out there, whether it's a single parent or not, you had to get your network to buy into your dream. And when you get them to buy into your dream, they'll want it just as bad as you do.
Wow, that is so good. And like you said, sacrifice is not easy. And I think we live in a society where people just want things and the notoriety and, all things, they want a reputation or what have you, but they don't want the hard work. And so I think that is just so key, that you had your children buy into it. And that's something that I talk about all the time, especially when I'm coaching wives and moms. And I'm like, yo, you have to get the whole entire family on board. So with me, when I started going back to school, I was a stay-at-home mom, homeschooling my children. I started teaching my 4 and 5 year old how to get clothes out the dryer. I'm like, get the clothes out the dryer. You can match the socks. Daddy's clothes, mommy's clothes, your sister clothes. And so I would have them all working together, so that was one less thing I had to do. So everybody had a job. One person loaded the wash machine, and the other one took the clothes out the wash machine, and the other one took them out the dryer. So I had to really get everyone, involved. If not, there was not going to be any clean laundry, and then role reversal for me and my husband. Now he does all the grocery shopping. He does, I would say, 90% of the cooking. Before, it was me doing all of that. But now it's allowed me to be and do what I'm doing now because of the family buy-in. So I think that is just so key.
And not only that, we also have to break down stereotypes. Like you're saying, your roles are reversed now, where he's doing the grocery shopping and he's doing the cooking. When I'm mentoring my college students and trying to get them through that period on where they are, I always have to point out to them that they have to understand that because they see something on television and that's the way it is, doesn't mean that has to be the way it is for them.
Okay.
Because when I left to go do my PhD, my daughter's father is older than I was, and he was at retirement. So he actually moved in and was there for the first 3 years, where he was taking care of the kids and he was taking care of the home while I was pursuing my PhD. And so that we had that role reversal as well, but it was a matter of breaking down that stereotype of what your family should look like or how your family should be functioning.
Right.
I know we're not functioning now like the typical family should be functioning because I'm everywhere and I'm constantly having to juggle even my grandson now. But that's because I don't believe we need to be bound or boxed in by those particular stereotypes.
Wow, that is fantastic. That is wisdom right there. So if you didn't pick up what she just put down, shame on you. But that was a lot of wisdom. So Dr. Renee, can you tell us where people can reach you and, again, how they can purchase your book?
So I can be reached on social. I keep moving from the gram, baby, right?
We understand.
But I can be reached on social media with Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, all at Renee Horton, PhD. There's also a Facebook page, and then there's just a regular page where you can do Dr. Renee Horton as well. I'm usually pretty good about answering most of those. My email is Renee, RENEE, at ReneeHortonPhD.com.
Awesome.
And then you can purchase the book at drhexplores.com.
Awesome, awesome. Well, thank you so very much for being my guest tonight. I am honored. I feel like I have just talked to a piece of history. You are doing amazing things. I mean, you're the first in so many different areas, and I'm just honored to know you, and I'm so glad we connected. And just thank you so much for being my guest tonight.
Well, thank you for having me. I think that's kind of ironic you say a piece of history, because I say almost every single day that for us doing our job is historical, and that every time I tie my boots, I'm walking in history.
Wow, that is amazing. That is amazing. All right, lady. Well, thank you so much for joining me tonight, and we will chit chat on the flip side. And everybody, I'm going to take a really quick break, and I'll be right back here on the Tanya Barnett Show. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Tanya Barnett Show, where we talk about the unique challenges of the 21st century woman and we offer solutions. I'm so super excited about my special guest that I had, none other than Dr. K. Renee Horton. This sister is a bad sister. She's teaching at NASA, okay? So you need to find out about her. You need to check her out, visit her. I think she said she is ReneeHortonPhD.com, so make sure you check her out. Get her book for your children, your grandchildren, nieces, nephews, where she talks about science and how she wanted to be an astronaut and things of that nature. So make sure you check her out because she really is a rocket scientist, okay? So y'all saw it first here on the Tanya Barnett Show, a black, young female rocket scientist. So I'm gonna just drop, well, I can't drop the mic, but I'm just saying that's the type of people I bring on my show, okay? So anyway, I'm super excited about that. And I want to again implore to all of you, make sure you register to vote. Y'all gonna hear me say this until election day, all right? Y'all gonna hear me say it. You can get sick and tired of it, and hopefully this will propel you to go get registered. If you're not registered, it is not too late. If you have been a convicted felon as of May 2016, you can register to vote, so you are able to vote. And there are different organizations, Rock the Vote, things of that nature, where they will help you get to the polling station where you need to go. But take advantage of early voting. In the state of Maryland, it's June 14th through the 21st from 8 to 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. So I don't want y'all telling me you ain't had time, use a lie, you went to happy hour, you can go vote, okay? So I'm just saying, 8 o'clock is right there on the screen. You can go vote real quick, then head on over to happy hour. So you got 2 weeks to do early voting, get registered. Also, it's very important to understand in voting, if you in the primary election, which is in June, you can only vote your party. So that means if you're a Republican and you want to vote for a Democrat, you cannot do that in the primaries. You can only vote per your party. So if you want to switch, you need to switch now so that you can make sure you vote for the person that you want to vote for. So don't be hollering at me talking about, T, I couldn't vote for you when I got my ballot. You weren't on it. It's because primaries is per party, because that determines who is going to be on the ballot in November. So the June election is way more important than the November election. That determines who actually gets on the ballot. And I want to be on that ballot in November because Republicans in Charles County do not win. So y'all got to vote for me, Tanya Barnett, Register of Wills, June 14th through the 21st. Also, before I get out of here, I want to thank Karen Austin. I got a phone call saying that I'm getting an award on Friday at the Fairmont in Georgetown. So thank you so much, Karen. And it is a Woman in Media Award. I'm so super excited. Ciroc is one of the sponsors, and I heard we're going to have some bad swag bags. So I'm excited about that. And also on Saturday, got another phone call that I'm being inducted into the Charles County NAACP Hall of Fame. So thank you so very much, Charles County NAACP. I know I get on y'all last nerve because I asked a lot of questions, but we got to bring NAACP into the 21st century. I'm just saying. Okay. So thank y'all for the award. Even though I get on y'all nerves, it's all good. Going in the Hall of Fame, I'm getting a plaque and some more stuff, and my mama coming. So I'm super excited about that. Super excited about being a change maker and a history maker, and I want you to do the same thing. So make sure you find your niche, find your niche, because they says there's riches in the niches. All right, so find what it is, make it happen, and be you. Be great. Like Dr. Renee, she's a rocket scientist. I mean, come on. So without further ado, I'm going to hop off of here because I haven't seen my honey all day, and make room for the gentleman's sweep. I will see you all next week, possibly. My daughter is contracting. She's having Braxton Hicks. She got to hold out till Sunday, though. Please hold that baby until Sunday. So I may not be here on Monday, but we'll see. All right, so I love you all. See you all later here on the Tanya Barnett Show.
It's the Tanya Barnett Show. First century woman gotta get right. Entrepreneurship, motherhood, marriage, divorce, dating, healthy living, and thriving, of course. It's the Tanya Barnett Show.
Tanya Barnett, the host of the Tanya Barnett Show, where we discuss the unique challenges of the 21st